Hello, 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 and welcome into this week's edition of the Walkthrough. I'm your host, Intern Joe Macheca. Solo night tonight. There was a big weekend in South Carolina sports. Obviously, the NFL draft. Carolina baseball winning a big series over Kentucky. So a lot to break down. Just me tonight. So we'll try to do that. So I guess the leading story, obviously, the NFL draft. Gamecock football had, I believe it was three players drafted, or four players drafted with Xavier Legette, Spencer Rattler, Marcelas Dial, Nick Gargiulo, and then they also had four more players or three players signed free agency deals, and then DK Joyner still also looking. But breaking it down, here we go. Obviously, the first Gamecock off the board on Thursday night was none other than Xavier Legette. He's getting a ton of talk, obviously, for his accent. Get picked for last pick of the first round to the Carolina Panthers. So big, huge for Xavier Legette. Obviously, getting a lot of attention from his draft interview, his first interview as a Panther. I brought that up, and there's the first part of this I want to talk about. So here's a quick clip from Xavier Legette's opening presser as a Panther.
Begin with questions for Xavier.
Xavier, you woke up a Carolina Panther. Did you have to pinch yourself?
Say it one more time.
So you woke up a Carolina Panther this morning. Did you have to pinch yourself a little bit?
Oh no, man. I woke up ready, man. I got a call right after I got dressed. They was coming to pick me up at 9:30 in the morning. I told them I'm gonna be ready.
What was that feeling like when you got the call? Because I saw the emotion in your face in the video, but what were those emotions?
Overly excited, man, whole time, and I really trying to hold my tears in for real, man. I told my folks I wasn't gonna crack. I was trying to be a tough guy, but man, I was really over excited.
Did you ever think when you played UNC just a couple months ago that you'd end up kind of returning here and playing for this team?
Oh yeah, man. Well, I knew they was in the talks of my range of where I was going to be able to fall, and I'm excited that it happened the way it did.
You had a great final season. What do you think was different last year?
So yeah, that's obviously the part of the Xavier Legette interview that's going viral. His accent is about as country as it gets. And really good kid. I very much enjoyed covering Xavier Legette. He possesses a lot of talent at the receiver position, and then just a great human. Right, you can hear it in his accent. It's very easy to like this kid. Coming out of South Carolina, very humble, worked his way up, right? Wasn't a surefire thing at South Carolina, had to, work his way, compete. Continuing to compete at South Carolina earns him this spot. Playing with Spencer Rattler certainly helps a little bit too. But I'll get into Spencer as well. The draft day, all of his draft day or draft weekend analysis, and wrap that up as well. But yeah, sticking with Xavier Legette, man, really good pick by the Panthers, right? I thought, there was a chance that he maybe would have ended up, with the Chiefs there for a second there, but traded that pick away to the Panthers. And then, Panthers get, a homegrown stud. Xavier gets to be close to home, play in front of his, home crowd, his fans. So I think that's a big deal. And so, happy for him, right? I think, he can bring Bryce Young some success possibly. I think, he's arguably one of the best receivers in that room just right now as it is. Adam Thielen's getting older. So really good situation for Xavier Legette. And then William says, go X, man. Yeah, absolutely. Really rooting for the kid up in Carolina because, great person, unbelievable human to cover, and just really fun cover as well at South Carolina. So wishing the best for XL up in Carolina, and huge. I mean, it's awesome whenever you can get somebody to go from your school in the first round. So I think it's a very big deal for X. The next Gamecock that was off the board was none other than Spencer Rattler, and I do want to talk about that a bunch too, because Spencer Rattler dropped. Whether that be teams, and I think a lot of the storyline right now is, on the fact that it was the QB1 show, right? And that teams couldn't get the idea of him as an 18-year-old out of their head, right? And to be honest, like we were all, different than from what we were when we were 18 and now I guess 22, 23, where Spencer's at. I mean, I was an entirely different person at 18, right? And so I certainly wouldn't want to be judged on my mistakes at 18, and Spencer doesn't either. I'm sure of it. So I think it's hard to grade a guy based upon that. And realistically, I think that was just kind of the reasoning that teams, gave reporters. Realistically, I don't think teams thought Spencer Rattler was very good, which is a horrible and horrendous mistake. Like, I really think he's gonna, especially with the Saints too, right? Because I want to talk about his fit as well, but he's a great fit down in the Big Easy. Robert says, I think Spencer's at the right place. Opportunities knocking for him. Ball out, man. Yeah, absolutely. I think opportunities knocking for him aplenty in the Big Easy. And, I'm a Bears fan, right? Obviously, I've got the Chicago flag hanging behind me. My dad's from Chicago. Love that city. And, if Spencer Rattler ever gets the chance to play the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams, I hope the Saints beat us by 30. I really hope Spencer gets his get back on Caleb, because again, I think that's just one thing in his football career that wasn't really wasn't really tied up. Bird to Fly checking in. What a great weekend for the Gamecocks. Yeah, absolutely. Huge weekend for the baseball team, righting the ship. And I'll get to that in a second after we finish this draft talk, but currently talking Spencer Rattler right now. But yeah, I think really happy for Spencer. And, shout out to the creative media team, Alex Marinelli. Do want to give a shout out to him as well. Good friend of mine. Really put together that video for Spencer. It was awesome. So shout out to Marinelli, shout out to the creative media team. And then also shout out to Spencer, man, for being a really good representation of this university, and continuing to, represent himself well, right? When he got to South Carolina, at first, obviously the talks, I wasn't too excited about it, obviously coming with his reputation, but as soon as he got here, my expectations were shattered. Right. And so I think, it was one of those things where, he got here and was just an entirely different person based on what you heard. And I mean, through the draft interview process, you heard that a lot about Spencer is, from NFL scouts, execs, whatnot, saying that Spencer Rattler is not the person that he was when he was 18. Right. Like, mind blowing. Imagine that. So I don't know. I really don't know why he fell. Again, I think it was because teams just didn't think he was that good, right? Which I disagree with. I really think that, he's going to make a name for himself in this league. And so, happy for him, and, I think he probably won't start over Derek Carr, obviously, immediately. But I think he is part of the plans for the Saints in the future, right? So I think that's huge to be a valuable part of that organization and to be trusted upon as, probably the next guy. Spencer could be a career backup. He could be a career starter. But I personally, I think he's going to be just better, a little bit better than a backup. I don't know if he's a consistent starter, but I mean, it's certainly within his capabilities as well, right? Showed a lot of good things at Carolina. Pocket presence. We all know about his arm talent. I mean, that was evident on the first day he stepped foot on campus. I mean, Spencer Rattler thrown in shorts. It's really fun to watch, right? I mean, and just him throwing the football in general. Because he's got a rocket arm. He puts it right on target. So I'm really happy for Seven. And again, I hope he gets his get back. And I don't think it's fair for the NFL to, be judging a kid based on 18, but that's just the nature of the business, right? And what does that say, kind of about those reality TV show, I guess, whatever, right? It's don't do them. And obviously at 18, it's hard to say no to that, right? Clout and can lead to more opportunities and everything like that. But I think it's the way that some of these reality TV shows, it has to be spun, in your favor, or else, you're going to come out looking like the bad guy. Jay Diz checking in. Sucks he fell in the draft, but the fit with the Saints is great. Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think, he fell because, again, a lot of teams just didn't think he was that good, which is unbelievable. And the Saints certainly thought it was that good. And I think that's why they got him so low. Right. And so, shout out to the Saints too, for I wouldn't say taking a chance, but, giving Spencer the opportunity. I'm really excited to see where this kid can go, because, we saw it at South Carolina. Obviously his offensive line last year wasn't the best, but, he continued to improve his play and was a great leader, great locker room guy. I mean, from the second he stepped on campus, it was that. So I think Spencer Rattler to the Saints, great pick, great opportunity for the kid. Really excited to see, how he ends up. And again, I really desperately want him to get his get back on Caleb Williams and my Chicago Bears. I don't think I've ever rooted so hard for my team to lose in my entire life. So I really, really hope and I think he does. I really do. I think again, it's just one of those things. It's just when the time comes, it's going to come. And Spencer Rattler is going to have his chance to set the league on fire. And and it's crazy to think that a guy like that, so much hype, so much clout coming out of high school, college, or high school, and into Oklahoma after getting benched by the number 1 overall pick, right? So it's crazy to see how a guy with that much hype and everyone loved him at one point, now nobody wants him besides the Saints, right? Which it's crazy to think. I certainly don't feel that way. Again, I'm all for. I think Spencer should have been 3rd round pick, 4th round pick. He was one of the better quarterbacks in this draft, if not a top 4, top 5 quarterback. So. Again, I'm really, really, really excited to see the fit with Rattler in New Orleans. And if any of you guys want me to hit back on Spencer, feel free. Comment on pick number 150 again. It was golden to the Saints, Spencer Rattler. So big, big, big stuff for the kid. I'm really excited to see what 7 can do. Bird2Fly says, I'll definitely be tuning in to the Saints preseason games. He's definitely QB2 out of the gate, right? I would think so, or at least QB3, but he's going to get some action in some preseason games for sure. And I'm interested to see it too, Bird, right? I think it's, it'll be fun, right? Seeing 7, obviously in some different colors kind of stinks, but, I think he's called Carolina home many, many times, right? And so I think if there's anyone you want representing your university, it's Spencer. So yeah, I'm excited to see the preseason too. I don't think he's going to start against Carr immediately out of the gates. They're paying Carr too much money for that to happen, but I think he gets every shot in the world to become the starter at some point. So yeah, super happy for Spence. Marcelas Dial was the next Gamecock picked. Goes in the 6th round of the New England Patriots, Mikey Uva's team. So Uva's team is getting a dog and Dial. 71% of I tweeted earlier, 71% of the earth is covered by water. The other percentage is covered by Marcelas Dial. The kid is a stud. He really, really worked hard in Torian Gray's defensive backfield to get to where he's at and, making himself a lot of money right now. So happy for Sell. I mean, again, he really, really, really developed, popped off in the Gator Bowl and just, went from there. A little Gatorade today, orange of the variety, if you guys were guessing. But so, yeah, really, really, really happy for Sell. And I think it's going to be really good for him in New England, right? Another South Carolina corner in New England, and a lot of positive things that can come from it. So really happy for Sell. And again, I think Sell's biggest issue now is just consistency, right? I mean, we saw it at Carolina. He was a little up and down, but really found his game towards the tail end of last season. He's a lockdown man-to-man corner. I think he can do a little bit in zone as well. But, Torian Gray's School of Defensive Backs, DBU, I believe, as we've been trying to get the label, you're making a pretty good case for it if Sell turns out. And then Cam Smith is going to see a lot of playing time for the Dolphins while we're on the topic of Gamecocks in the NFL. I think Cam Smith could have his breakthrough year with the Dolphins. Jay Diz, SC DBs rule the NFL, Dial will kill it. Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, Marcelas Dial's biggest issue is just consistency, right? And it's upstairs. So he certainly has the athletic talent. I'm not saying that, he doesn't have it up here either, because we've seen to play lockdown corner in the SEC, it takes a different mental animal upstairs. So a shout out to Marcelas Dial again. I think he's going to kill it in New England. It'll be perfect for him. And, minus the cold weather a little bit, but he'll figure it out, and Sell's going to make a great corner. Here we go. We got another comment. And Late was happy to see Nick getting drafted right at the end. Drafted was awesome. They seem to love him. Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to go back to the beginning of the show, or you've probably seen the clip as well, but I played a little bit of his introductory press conference and then his accent and stuff. I mean, I think the media is going to love XL. In Charlotte, and just that accent isn't going anywhere. Like he came, so somehow he brought a thicker accent to his introductory press conference than he did on pro day. When he had been home for 3-4 weeks. I know he's been around training, doing that kind of stuff, but he'll be home quite a bit, and that accent is going nowhere. So shout out to XL. He's going to make one hell of a receiver out there. are up there in Charlotte, man. And I really hope they do him right. Right. That's just one of the cases where, you've heard so much about the organization, and you really hope they do a guy like XL right. And I'm glad you brought up Nick Gargiulo. He's the last Gamecock picked. Gargiulo goes in the 7th round, 256th pick to the Broncos. So happy for Nick. I think he can make an impact. He's one of those guys that shows up with his boots on, right? I mean, shows up to work. Gargiulo, I mean, unbelievable player to cover, and his family, unbelievable kid, right? Comes from a great family. Had the privilege of meeting his family while they were here at a Gamecock Central kickoff event. They are every bit of the Gargiulos. His mom is a wonderful lady, and his dad, big Italian guy. I love it. So Nick, I mean, I really think he's going to find a home in Denver. South Carolina offensive linemen have been making their ways. Jovan Gwynn is still playing for the Falcons and everything. So watch out. I think Nick could make some moves up in Denver. Could potentially see him in the starting rotation. I don't know by the end of the year, because I know they've got a couple guys locked in, but Gargiulo is certainly part of Sean Payton's plans in Denver as well. So really happy for Nick again. I think he still has the Jack Brown's burger record. I think it's the burger record. He's got a Jack Brown's in 5 points. Nick Gargiulo once held the burger and beer record at that place. I think somebody broke it, and I'll have to talk to him, see if he ever went back and broke it, because I know after the season last year he was talking about going back. I never went back to see if he did, but Nick Gargiulo, unbelievable person. Again, so happy for him. I think he's going to find his home right at Denver. Denver, needing a fresh start at a lot of different positions, getting one at quarterback with Bo Nix and Zach Wilson. So Gargiulo is going to have his hands full protecting the passer because he's got 2 new quarterbacks there to go in with. But really happy for Nick. Great kid, again, comes from a great family. Also coming from Yale. Shout out Tony Reno and the Yale Bulldogs. My Chicago Bears just drafted a Yale offensive lineman, again, from the great Tony Reno up there at Yale. So making my team happy as well. Shout out to Coach Reno, a little bit of a random one. And then it's also Dante's birthday today, too. So shout out to Dante. Texted him earlier. If you guys get the chance, make the freshman quarterback feel welcome. Send Dante a happy birthday as well. But so a couple guys in the from South Carolina that got undrafted free agent deals. One of those guys, wide receiver Martin Brown, signing with the Browns, which is kind of funny a little bit in and of itself. But a Martin Brown, really, really good wide receiver, speedy. I think that's really what sums up AB, right? Slot threat. If he can find his way, onto that roster or a practice squad, I think AB, has another chance to be another one of those Gamecocks with a high ceiling in the NFL. Now with Cleveland, are they the best, franchise to be going into? Not necessarily, but AB, knows how to make a name for himself. Certainly did at South Carolina in a really heavily stacked wide receiver room. AB carved out a role. So, all of these guys in the pros are, going to find their way, right? Tyreek Johnson, the edge rusher from South Carolina last season, inked the deal with the New York Jets. That was big. DK Joyner got a couple rookie minicamp invites. Shout out to DK. Robert says, Brown to the Browns, perfect. Yeah, it's a match made in heaven. It really is a match made in heaven. Excuse me. But yeah, so I think it's awesome. AB is going to have, a good time up there in Cleveland again. Going to need to get some cold weather clothes, but that's probably one of my favorite things out of the SEC, right? All these SEC guys get picked to all these teams way up north that it's cold, Chicago, Caleb Williams coming from LA to Chicago, right? Spencer Rattler, it doesn't have to worry about anything in New Orleans, but, AB going to have to worry about some cold up there in Cleveland. But I always think it's funny because it takes these guys a lot to adjust. I mean, Keon Coleman was in there. I was up in Buffalo, and I can't imagine it's that cold still in Buffalo. But Keon Coleman was up there with a big puffer jacket as well. So out of all the South Carolina guys that got picked, obviously I'm taking Xavier Legette and Spencer Rattler to have the best careers. But yeah, good news. Fingers crossed for DK. Yeah, DK Joyner is one of those guys that will find a way. We knew that from his time at South Carolina, and so it big deal for DK, and he's certainly going to find his way. I think that's one of the biggest things with DK. He always finds his way. Chris says Spencer should have gone earlier. Yes, he should have. Yes, he should have. Shouldn't have been the 5th round. I had him slotted in like a 3rd round, 4th round. I really just think it was, other teams didn't think he was very good. So the teams that did think he was very good knew they could wait, pretty much is what I think happened. And then I mean, I don't know, like if you're an NFL team, I don't know how much evaluating you're doing on somebody, basically, from a TV show when they were 17, right? Like, I don't know how much of your draft board or how much of your scouting is based on that, right? Like, I don't like actually think a lot of these teams are saying, oh, he was a jerk on QB1, some Netflix show. Can't draft him when he was 18. No, I just don't think they thought he was very good, which is horrendous, right? Like, I don't know how you miss that. I think he's very good. I think, certainly should have. I'm with Robert, right? Like, or Chris. I'm with Chris. Should have gone earlier. Yeah, absolutely. And then Robert says Gargiulo to the Gamecocks got drafted. Yeah, to the Broncos. Again, I'm so happy for Nick. Comes from a great family, really good center, and he's going to be protecting 2 new QBs up there in Denver. But as to why Spencer slid, again, I just don't think teams thought he was very good, which is crazy to me. But again, it's just one of those things. And, everyone heard, and it was made a big story on Twitter. It's like, teams are saying, oh, we didn't like how he's portrayed in that, But I really don't. I think that's a cop-out excuse. I might be the only one saying this, right? That might not be, like, true. But, like, I don't know. I think it's a cop-out from some of these NFL teams. Just say, because you have to do the due diligence, right? Interview them and all that, and do your research, right? These are NFL franchises. It's not like, I mean, it doesn't take very long to figure out that Spencer Rattler is not what he was on that TV show when he was 18. Plain and simple, right? So Big Red says if his numbers were bad last year, we also had O-line issues all year long. Yeah, absolutely. And I think last year certainly played into that. But there were still flashes of, the true Spencer, right? Like, I mean, he's got a pretty long highlight tape. You saw the one that Marinelli made, which was, again, chef's kiss. Shout out Marinelli. I think, the last year just didn't help, right? But again, it's just these excuses. William says it gets cold in Denver too. Yeah, absolutely. I was, Gargiulo will be ready though. I mean, he came from Yale for school. So Gargiulo knows all about the North. I don't know if he's ready for the cold. XL doesn't have to be ready for the cold. I can only imagine if XL ended up in like Kansas City or Chicago or Boston, right? Like XL would be freezing, man. I can't do that. I can't do a good impersonation of his accent, so I'm not even going to try anymore. I heard a lot of positive things about Spencer before the draft. Most people graded him round 2 or 3. So how is that now an issue? Yeah, I don't know. I saw, just everything positive coming up to him, just tick, 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 tick on his way up, right? And all the pre-draft stuff. And then all of a sudden just drop like a rock back down to way below, because he originally was graded as like a 4th round pick heading into this season, I believe. So, he wound up dropping below what he was before this season. So I don't know. I really don't know. And again, because that's what I'm with you. This is why, it doesn't make any sense to me. The whole QB1 excuse doesn't make any sense to me, right? Because all of these teams, like all of the talk and all of the shift was up and, oh, he's so mature and all of this. And then all of a sudden you just walk it all back and then give the same excuse as to why. It's just some silly TV. Like, I don't get it. I think it was a cop out. And I just don't think they thought he was very good. And I mean, they have every right. I think Spencer Rattler's really good. Robert says Spencer could have been drafted earlier, but only to sit on the bench. It's perfect at Who Dey Nation. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a perfect fit in the Saints, right? Because you look at some of the other teams, looking at the Jets, or I believe you talked to the Broncos. Broncos have their own quarterback problems now. They've got Zach Wilson and Bo Nix, which I think Spencer Rattler's a better quarterback than Bo Nix, but that might be a little bit of homer just watching him play. But I think NFL style, like Bo Nix, great college quarterback. Sure, right, whatever. But do I think he's better than Spencer Rattler in terms of an NFL ceiling? No. But I guess that's why I'm not calling the shots for the Broncos. But yeah, I think he's a perfect fit at the Saints. Slide or not, right? It's a good fit. And God knows, I mean, Spencer's going to show up and work because this kid really wants this opportunity. And so I don't think he's going to let it slip. This kid's going to be in the league for a little bit. Who dat? William. Yeah, exactly. I know it's a sticky situation. Big Red. Let's be honest. Spencer looks like Breeze, anyways. I don't know. You guys might not like this take. I'm not the biggest fan of Drew Brees' game. I grew up a Peyton Manning fan. I don't think he was that good of a quarterback. But I don't know. I don't. I think does his game similar to Brees? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, and I see the comparison, Big Red. But I don't know. I'll have to think about this one because I wasn't the biggest Drew Brees fan growing up. So I'm gonna let this one marinate, Big Red, and I'll get back to you. Bird25 says, personally, I don't think Spencer could have landed with a better team. Saints are a perfect fit. Yeah, realistically, yeah, great fit. He's going to have an opportunity, right? I don't think anyone, he wasn't picked just to say that they picked a quarterback, right? He's not checking a box. Saints believe in him, right? Dennis Gates, he's going to get an opportunity, right? And, he's next up, right? Like I said, they paid Derek Carr so much money. They're not going to not play Derek Carr. But if it gets a little, iffy, or if it gets a little, interesting with Derek Carr, I think, Spencer will get his opportunity. Big Red said he played a pro style in college. I don't know how he's not field ready. I'm with you. Dude, Dell Loggins' offense is about as pro style as it gets. And you didn't see as much of it last year, sure, because you barely had a running back room. But I will say this, Spencer played the role of pro style QB in that offense perfectly. Lynn says, also, yeah, Lynn, appreciate you joining us tonight. I'm glad I'm not still being judged by the dumb things I did in high school. Same here, right? Same here. Every once in a while, it'll get brought up when I go back home and stuff. But no, I'm with you. And again, do I really think NFL teams actually felt that way? No. Like I just don't think they thought he was very good. Which you can't say that. Like, what are you supposed to tell Ian Rappaport? Nah, we just don't think he's very good. What is he supposed to do with that, right? So I think some of this nonsense of, he was a jerk in QB1, so we didn't draft him. I think that's nonsense. I really do. I don't know. I just think it's nonsense. Because there's no way you're an NFL franchise. That's not the scouting that you're. I mean, obviously you watch it, sure, but did or didn't. But I doubt the Saints had that in very much of their draft evaluations, or anybody for that matter. It doesn't make much sense to me, that being the reason why he fell so far. I think that was just something either in the media or teams were telling the media as to that's what they were, thinking, or what dropped it. To me, it appears the first QBs screwed over the whole draft. They delayed all the top defensive guys. Next, they started getting a line between wide receivers. All the QBs really slipped too. Yeah, and I'm with you. I noticed this as well with the NFL draft. Right, I think the top QBs were all a little overhyped. Right, I think in a normal draft year that and there's not as big of a quarterback boom or whatever. These quarterbacks are all spread out. Is Bo Nix a first round talent to me? No, absolutely. Is JJ McCarthy a first round talent to me? Absolutely not. No. JJ McCarthy belongs in the second, or if not the third round, right? And I think Spencer Rattler should have been picked, above, because again, I think he's better than Rattler, or he's better than McCarthy. He's better than Nix, right? So I don't know. I'm with you. I'm with all you guys here. Big Red says the problem with the Panthers, they don't have a great O-line and not as good quarterback as Spencer. Yeah, I think in terms of an NFL fit, yeah. Bryce Young is not the guy in Carolina. Now that he might have some help, it might be a little bit different. But, he was certainly in for a rude awakening when going from an Alabama offensive line to the Panthers where there's nothing. So, again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I really hope the Panthers do XL right because he's a really good dude. Like, just all around good human. Everything that we've heard about him, everything that, we've covered him and all that, just fantastic human. And so, obviously, the world needs more people like XL, and so I really hope he doesn't get screwed over in Carolina, because there is some dysfunction in that franchise, believe it or not. So as unfortunate as it is, and me being a Yankee, rubbing my pro teams in all of you guys' faces, but at least we have Carolina, which is good. But no, so I'm with you there. Anything else you guys want to talk about from the NFL draft? I'll hit a quick baseball recap real quick. Or But if you guys have any more questions from the draft, let's see. Think about that. Young got drafted so high this year. He really would have slipped down. Yeah, I think so. I think I don't know. I mean, I think he was still Alabama golden boy coming out of it. I think he probably would have been the number 1 pick in this draft. But I think, again, if this draft, to your earlier point, I think that the quarterbacks should have filtered out a little bit better. They just didn't. William Jones says Rattler was durable. Damn right he was. And again, I knock on wood here, hope it continues into the pro. But again, he's the difference between a Spencer Rattler and a Jaden Daniels as well. Jaden Daniels has Jaden Daniels takes way more hits than Spencer did, right? I mean, even with the banged up offensive line, William, I like this point because Spencer Rattler's game does not lend itself towards injuries. I mean, I feel like every time I'm watching a Jaden Daniels playing, is Jaden Daniels the better quarterback? Probably on paper right now, yes. But the way Jaden Daniels has been taking hits, will he last? Who knows, right? But I like this point, William, because, again, it made me think of how Jaden Daniels, takes hits, and it's just different. You don't see Spencer Rattler taking kind of hits that he does. Lynn says Rattler has pro-level release times and good progressions. He is battle-tested and has already had his humbling experience. I think he's mentally ready in addition to his skill level. Lynn, you're hitting the nail on the head here. That's perfect. Again, that's what made him special from the jump, right? I think at Oklahoma was his pro-level, his reads, his timing, his releases, just unbelievable stuff. Jumped off the page, right? And then now you brought up the humbling to Oklahoma and having to come to South Carolina, not a top dog in the SEC by any means, and just having to put your head or you put your head between your legs, right, and just really get off and just go. And so he was humbled and again I think mentally certainly ready for all of it. So I think you hit the nail on the head here, Lynn. Great point. Big Red, what was up with the rumors of Spencer to Atlanta? What happened there? Penix, really? Yeah, I know. Big Red, if you're a Falcons fan, I'm sorry. Growing up in Indiana, I knew all about Michael Penix and all of his, knee surgeries, goes to Washington, rips it up. Happy for a kid like that. XO says, yeah, the Penix pick was insane. I don't know. Like, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to do what Green Bay has done over the last eternity, it feels like, as a Bears fan. But, just trying to re-stash your quarterback room before you even get it off the ground. I mean, did I expect them to take a quarterback? Yes. Did I expect them to take Michael Penix in the first round? Heck no. So I don't know. I mean, I apologize to all my Falcons fans out there. And now I don't think it's going to turn out as bad as everyone is saying, as bad as everyone thinks, right? So, but certainly, I mean, you've got Kirk Cousins. You needed to get Kirk Cousins some first round level help. So yeah, I don't know what was up with that. And then the rumors of Spencer to Atlanta, I really didn't hear a whole lot about that one. I heard more of Spencer to Carolina or Spencer to Denver than anything. But yeah, the Saints also another good one. So yeah, let's talk about baseball here for a little bit. We got a pretty good amount of people, so appreciate everyone checking in with me on this Sunday evening. Quick sip. But yeah, this baseball team, bird you fly, still on the draft. I was thinking Raiders would draft Spencer. Honestly, Aiden O'Connell over Spencer is crazy. Yeah, I know, but see. But the crazy thing is, I've actually watched Aiden O'Connell play a couple games in college. I had a couple friends at Purdue. I think Aiden O'Connell, oddly enough, is a pro quarterback somehow. Do I know how? No, but the Raiders, I think, are gonna let it sift. Now, do I think they are going to take a quarterback? Yes, eventually. But I don't. Again, I don't know. And the Raiders would probably be a logic choice looking at their quarterback room. But yeah, I don't know what happened there. I think they were another team that just didn't think he was very good, which is craziness. But I don't know. I don't know the whole inside story, so I can't really talk specifics in terms of teams. But Big Red, Atlanta seems to need a mobile quarterback, and I don't think Penix has that mobility. Not quite. Not on those knees. Not in the NFL, right? So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Big Red, if you're a Dirty Birds fan, man, I'm wishing you the best. Lynn Turner Yardcocks knocked the leather off the ball this weekend. Yeah, they did. Pretty good. It was a very, very good weekend. Almost a scary one, but good weekend for South Carolina baseball. Friday night, you walk things off in extra innings. Blake Jackson, 2-run home run. Unbelievable game. I was at Founders Park for that game. That was ridiculous. We were in left field right where Blake hit the first one, right? So he hits the solo home run in the bottom of the ninth with 1 out to get 1 run. And then Dalton Reeves comes up, does the same thing, solo home run, this one to right field. Just absolute moonshot. Gavin Costas pinch hits. You already know what's gonna happen. Like we all. It's like we kind of already knew what would have happened. When he was pinch hitting. I mean, there was only one thing that was about to happen, and he was going to hit a home run. That game was unbelievable. One of the best baseball games I've ever been to, and there were thoughts. Forgive me, but thoughts of leaving in the ninth, just based on how this team has played recently. And I'm like, oh, there's no way. And it's like, screw it. What if they tied up? And golly, they did, man. Shout out to the fight in this team. But able to get that one 6-5 again with the Blake Jackson walk-off 3-run bomb. I think it was a 3-run homer. Unbelievable stuff on Friday. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, 2-run homer, scored Kennedy Jones off of Evan Byers. Just ridiculous stuff on Friday. Saturday, not quite the way you wanted it to go. Big Red says, how are we looking at SEC play? Haven't kept up with the baseball team as much in the past years. They're battling, Big Red. They're battling. Big win this weekend over Kentucky. Again, taking the game on Friday in extras with a Blake Jackson 2-run walk-off home run, which was unbelievable, as I just mentioned. But then you lose the game on Saturday, and then today, rally back and run roll. So the number 4 team in the country comes in, playing fundamental baseball. It kind of reminded me of Vandy's series a little bit, but really, really good stuff today. So they're battling, Big Red. As of now, they are battling in the SEC. Really good showing this weekend. They just got to keep it up, right? These last couple of weekends haven't been great, haven't been favorable to you. But again, you had a chance this weekend to go silence some of the doubt, and golly, you did. So really good stuff. EXO says, we look great today. Was plainly confused yesterday. Yeah, yesterday's game, again, not one that you want to remember. I think the pitching just kind of unraveled a little bit. Jones with 4 earned runs, Becker with 5 earned runs. The pairing of the 2 starters that we have been talking about for a while now, just didn't have it. Then you had Tyler Pitzer out of the bullpen. Then you went to Tyler Dean, Parker Marlatt, Jake McCoy to get you out of the rest of the game. Rest of the game on Saturday. But you lose by a final 15-3 after you're up 6-2 in the first inning. Just you let it slip away. But you can tell this team was pissed off as they come back today, 10-0 over Kentucky. Mason Moore gets a loss, allowing 9 earned runs to start it for Kentucky. Just brutal stuff. Kentucky's bullpen was not impressive all weekend, especially with I believe it was Matt something on Friday. Was unbelievable. He came in and allowed the three home runs. I don't know if it was. I think it was his curveball, but that kid had a hanging curveball. Jack Hummel or something like that for Kentucky. Whatever he was throwing, they were meatballs down the corner. Or meatballs right down the middle. So they took it. Dalton Reeves saw it. Casa saw it. They were timing it up in the on-deck circles. So good stuff on Friday night. Again, one of the best baseball games that I've certainly ever been to. Bird Two Fly says, yeah, I think Kingston found his lineup. Yeah. Obviously Kingston messing with the lineup a little bit today. And just kind of this weekend with Austin Brimling in left. And then moving Ethan Petrie over to first. And then you put Blake Jackson out in right. Evan Stone started out, or Evan Stone wound up in center. But let's see who else was in. I think it was Brewer was in center field for the weekend, and just really good stuff out of all those guys, right? No complaints. But I do like the lineup changes. AB, I think he's out of Blake Jackson, Kennedy Jones, and Austin Brimling, and if you throw in Dylan Brewer to this rotation, I think AB is the odd man out. So if you decide to let if Gavin Casas starts, hitting again, getting back in the lineup, and you decide to move Petry back into the outfield, I think AB is the odd man out. But I have loved what I've seen from AB so far this year. He's gotten his opportunity and stepped up. So shout out to AB. I mean, playing really well. He's doing. I mean, his gloves showing some pretty good stuff in the outfield. Obviously, he's not as defensive as a guy like Evan Stone, but his bat is currently one of the best out of all the outfielders right now. Lynn says, love the small ball. Maybe Kingston has learned from Kentucky this weekend that small ball is also important. Yeah, absolutely. Today was a lot of small ball. Obviously, Fridays was the game with all the home runs, but man, oh man, today's game was quite a bit of small ball involved for South Carolina. Scoring a lot of the runs. Also, I will shout this out too. This team, I didn't know, this is something I was kind of sleeping on a little bit, but this team leads the country in double plays, fielding double plays. Lynn, this is a good point here. Our pitchers had to pitch in the rain yesterday, lost control. Yeah, I get it. It was tough. It was raining off and on. And, in terms of losses for this team, this one goes right along with the rest of them, right? Just one of those inconsistent things where you're not just, throughout the whole time, like you're just don't have it, right? So I agree. I think you just flush it. And they did, right? Coming up, 10-0 today. It's ridiculous. But Petry singled. That was the home run, bottom three. That he overrounded AB. Who was that on? I think AB, right? I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't see exactly how it transpired. I saw the video. But I think Petry passing AB's on AB. It might be on Petry because he did take a big round there. I don't know why that happened. He should have had 3 runs, but it didn't matter. Blake Jackson, he had a single with an RBI. Kennedy Jones, single RBI. Gavin Casas with a single and RBI. AB, Austin Brimling with a single and an RBI. Like Lynn said, small ball today. 1. And Kentucky tried to play it all weekend. And so, Lynn, I think this is something that this South Carolina team has been trying to do a little bit more and just stop relying on the home run, right? I think, as another one of those things that they've been trying to, work out with the lineup is that, just their whole hitting approach. We've seen it go because, at the beginning of the year, it's like, all right, yeah, wait for your pitch, right? And then they were getting dotted up on the black. So then you had to tweak the dial a little bit. It's like, all right, well, if it's close, you got to swing. Now they're swinging too much. So now I think this weekend was a perfect example. Lynn says, yeah, I think it was on the first base coach. Should have been slowing Petry down. Yeah, just a communication thing, realistically. Didn't matter. Really didn't matter by the end of it. So, but did have to bring it up again. They're going to fix it. Just one of those things that, certainly like to forget. And again, it didn't matter in the game. So, because you continued to pour runs on this Kentucky team. And more of their starter got rattled up today, man. Tell you what, but really, really, really good small ball out of these guys this weekend. And I do want to talk about the pitching. Roman Kimball was good. Ty Good was great on Friday, but then Garrett Gainey did. So Friday there was a big question mark. Like, did Ty Good get left in too long? I don't know. It's debatable, right? I think realistically, like, this team should be scoring like more than 6 runs. Like, I think the pitching staff did what it needed to. The offense, you just needed more of the offense on Friday, and you got it at the very end of it, right? But I think if they needed anything and they learned anything from their mistake on Friday, they got the runs a lot earlier in today's game and got out of there a little early as well. So huge, and again, a very, very big weekend series. Are they back? I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to say that they're fully back yet. This was a bounce back weekend for sure. I think in terms of where they want the mentality to be and all of that, I think they've got a good idea of where they want it to be. Now, I had someone on Twitter say earlier today, it was like, hey, this feels a lot like the Vandy game or the Vandy series, and we all know what happened after Vandy. Yeah, I hear that, and I've been saying, this felt like the Vandy series all over again as well. And so we'll see what happens with this baseball team. But I think instead of the start of a skid, I think they're on the tail end of it. They've been having ups and downs in games from here out, right? So and so now I think it's time that we start to see some more consistent baseball. Finals are over, right? And all they have to worry about is just baseball from here forward. So I think it's a pretty big deal. Martin says hopefully the Gamecocks can go 5-4 in the next 9 games. That way they finish with a winning record in SEC play. Yeah, at the very least 5-4. And I know it's a gauntlet, and I'm going to pull it up here in a second. But man, oh man, the South Carolina baseball schedule is almost harder than the football one, to be honest. But it's certainly up there. But yeah, next week, as I'm pulling it up here, a little underprepared. So now you just beat number 4 Kentucky, right? Rah rah. It's great. You beat a top 5 team, which is awesome. It's really freaking awesome. But so you played Kentucky, right? Beat them, which is good. Probably wish you could have had the sweep, but at the end of the day, you're just happy to get out of there with a win. So now you get to go to Missouri. You are on to Missouri now. And Missouri's another good baseball team. Are they as good as Kentucky? I don't think so. But we'll have that full preview and everything. I'll do a little bit more Missouri research when it comes to it this week. But they're at Missouri too, so got to go up to the other Columbia. Yeah, or better, Martin. Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's doable, right? I don't think this team is playing slightly above 500 level baseball right now. I really don't. But so I think the future's bright for sure. I'm gonna hit some ads real quick before I get some final thoughts on just everything, and appreciate everyone tuning in. Another big show tonight. Appreciate you guys dealing with just me here, but hopefully we will have a guest next week to talk NFL draft and some recruiting stuff heading into the summer as well. So stay tuned for that. But our first sponsor of the day, as you guys know, is our good friends over at Liberty Tax. Tax ID is an uncertain feeling you get right before doing your taxes, but you don't have to go through it alone. Tax team at Liberty Tax in Irmo, Lexington, and Columbia will walk you through the process, clear up any confusion, and guarantee you'll get the biggest possible refund or your money back. It's tax time. If you're in a hurry for a refund, call the tax team at Liberty Tax. It's fast, accurate, and guaranteed. On the other hand, if you think about owing Sam, talk to Liberty Tax team to make sure you're not paying more than you should owe. They'll find every possible deduction for you. Locally owned and operated, staffed by tax professionals from your neighborhood, open 9 to 9 on weekdays and 9 to 5 on Saturdays with multiple service options. Start through the Liberty Tax mobile app or through the desktop portal. Make an appointment or just walk in. Give the call to upload your tax documents, and when you come in, your return will be ready to review and sign. Give them a call on your screen right now. And for those listening, 803-462-5576. Once again, 803-462-5576. Our other sponsor has been above me this whole time, believe it or not. Our good friend over at the Movement Mortgage Network, Clint.Hammond. He's the man. Give him a call. In need of help with your mortgage? Call on our good friend Clint.Hammond of the Movement Mortgage Network. He's been in the mortgage industry since 2003, which allows him to help everyone from the first-time home buyer to the complicated and complex jumbo buyer, whether you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance. Nothing is more important than a well-thought-out financial strategy that comes with 5-star customer service. He's even helped out our very own Wes Mitchell and former Gamecock quarterback Perry Orth with their mortgages. So give our guy Clint a call. He's above us on all of our Gamecock Central live programming. His number on your screen right now. And for those listening, 803-771-6933. Once again, 803-771-6933. Clint's the guy. Go check him out for all of your mortgage needs. But wrapping things up here, obviously, again, very, very big weekend for the Gamecocks in the NFL. Spencer Rattler falling, but falling to the right fit in the Saints. And again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. If he ever gets to match up with my Chicago Bears, man, I hope the Bears lose. Because I really want Spencer to get his revenge on Caleb Williams, and I think that would be awesome. But really happy for Spencer winding up in a really, really good spot in New Orleans. He's going to have a chance to cook. And even though they're going to give it to Derek Carr, obviously because they're paying him all that money, he's definitely part of their future plans going forward. So I think it's huge. Lynn says we are projected to host a regional for baseball, last I heard. Pretty good considering the brutal schedule. We have played 4 top 10 teams now, right? I believe so. Yeah. So you have number 4 Kentucky, number 2 Arkansas, number 3 A&M, and then Vanderbilt was number 3 when you played them too. And then you also have a ranked team in Bama as well. North Carolina was ranked 2, and Florida. Damn. So yeah, a lot of ranked teams, but yes, 4 teams inside the top 10. And I think they host super regional. Yeah, absolutely. I think this team is on the way up. But yeah. So no, back to Spencer real quick or just wrapping things up. Yeah. Really, really, really good fit for Spencer. Kid's gonna kill it in the league. Really, really, really good human. As Lynn mentioned and the comments have been saying, we don't understand, why he dropped necessarily. And again, I think, the whole QB1 thing was just a cop out as to why teams, didn't want to take him. I don't think they were, and if you are judging a kid based on, his actions at 18 years old, based on what we've seen from him now and everything that we know about Spencer Rattler and the kind of, human that he, is, I don't know what they were doing, but really happy for Spencer. Gets to go in the Big Easy, and rip things up. Really good franchise over there. So I think Spencer's NFL future is bright. Obviously, Xavier Legette's NFL future is brighter than anyone out of this draft class. I think XL is going to make a name for himself in Charlotte. Really happy for the kid. Really, 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 really good dude. Really good person. And that accent is certainly going nowhere fast. So happy for XL, man. I really hope the Panthers do him right, as you would expect. And then Nick Gargiulo, shout out to him and Marcelas Dial, the other Gamecocks that got picked. Dial Island going to the Pats in the 6th round again. 71% of the earth is covered by water. The rest of it is covered by Marcelas Dial. Pats are getting a good one, man. Tell you what, Nick Gargiulo, congratulations again. Going to the Broncos. He's got 2 new quarterbacks to block for, so I think Nick is in a good spot. And also shout out to all the Yale guys that got picked as well. But and then lastly, baseball. Bounce back weekend, right? A lot of chatter, a lot of talk about how this team wasn't swinging the bat enough. I think there's your answer. They certainly took all the comments to heart for sure. This baseball team notoriously listens to what we say and takes it to heart, right? And I like it. I'm with it. I think that's kind of how it should be. They're tired. This team gets really tired of people saying that they should be doing better, and golly, they pick it up right when they start getting sick of it. So I don't know what that means for me. Like, do I keep it up? I don't want to keep it up because they're playing good baseball right now, and they're playing really good, and they look really good right now. But I don't want to get ahead of myself either. So knock on wood for anyone there who says, if the baseball team goes south, it's like Gargiulo said they were playing well, and that's why. No, I knocked on wood there. But no. So really good series for the baseball team. Dylan Eskew, I did want to shout out him out too. I believe it was 6 scoreless today for Eskew. Almost forgot to talk about him today. He got the win. 6 1/3 inning, 5 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 2 Ks. That's ridiculous. That is a bounce back game from Dylan Eskew. Really, really, really happy for the dude because he had a rough couple weeks and everyone was wondering. I mean, he wasn't in like the starting lineup or like the rotation that Kingston puts out every week, and then comes out today and just goes crazy. Oh, Jay Diz brings up this. I did forget to bring this up as well. And Lynn has another comment. Lamont is cooking. Pringle is a great get. Any word on Brickus? I do not have any update on Brickus. From what I understood was that he was supposed to commit at 5 p.m. and it was a South Carolina lean. But I don't know. I think the latest is that he just postponed his commitment. So I don't know. But I still think South Carolina's in the picture. Need another point guard. But you got Pringle, man. Oh my goodness, Nick Pringle. I completely got to bring that up, but Lamont's cooking again. I don't know what Miss Laura Kleem has been making him recently, but he has been making these recruits or whatever. Like the hosting has been great. Nick Pringle is a Gamecock, and I think South Carolina basketball fans are excited. Lamont's been cooking in the portal, and after what happened this season, fans are excited. Right, this first off season where people are excited about basketball. So I'm with it. And let's see. Lynn says, I think the QB1 TV show painted an exaggerated picture of Rattler. I don't think he was ever as bad as it showed. No, I agree. I 100% agree. Now, do I think, there was a little bit of it? Yeah, absolutely. But again, TV shows have a great chance. And again, as we all were when we were 18, I'm not saying, because we know Spencer. He's not, there is 0 ounce of the QB or that kind of port or whatever he was portrayed. He doesn't, that's not him. So, no, I agree. It's never as bad as they showed either. And I've never watched it either. So, I mean, I'm just taking everyone's word. I heard it was pretty bad, but yeah, I never bothered to watch it. But yeah. And then Bird Two Fly agrees with Lynn. Reality TV isn't exactly real. No, it's all staged. I mean, they have, ideas of what they want to shoot for, that day. And it's a little planned for sure. But yeah, Bird Two Fly and Lamont we trust. Absolutely. Absolutely. Nick Pringle certainly helping out with the cause as well. And Jay Diz, we're gonna wait on Brickus, I believe, because I haven't really checked it because I've been live, but as of now, I do not believe there's a commitment. I could be wrong though, but something to keep our eyes on, going into this week, and just, maybe any news from it going forwards would be great. But yeah, Nick Pringle's gonna help out so much. Oh my goodness, it's just getting scary in Columbia, man. I think Lamont's slowly cooking up that roster. Something to look out for sure. But again, recapped a lot of good stuff this week. A lot of good NFL draft coverage. Talked about the baseball team again. Dylan Eskew stealing the show from in terms of the pitching side, and then all of the bats. Really, Friday night was one of the best baseball games that I've ever been to. Plain and simple. And so shout out to Carolina baseball for getting it done. And it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens next week at Missouri. But pretty good show tonight. I appreciate everyone tuning in and bearing with me. Just me tonight, but we will have a guest next week. It should be a fun one. Get one of Gamecock Central's own, so it'll be a fun time, I promise. But yeah, appreciate everyone tuning in. William, again, yeah, all of you guys in the comments, appreciate it. It was a great night. And again, you guys made some really, really good darn points in the comments, making me rethink my notes a little bit for sure. But yeah, appreciate everyone tuning in tonight, and enjoy your week.